Hey guys, Santoli here with Hanko, who managed to get top 8 at one of the remote regionals with Enneacraft. So again, just more of the Enneacraft pushing by Santoli. It's not a deck I particularly love. I think it's cool, and I think it's a lot better than people give it credit for. But anyways, we'll leave it off to Hanko to go and talk about his deck.
Yeah, I noticed that the Santoli's last Enneacraft video had some pretty curious interest on the deck, so that's why I came to Santoli with my seventh place regional deck profile. I went from 5-0 to 5-2 at the end. It was a little disappointing. Maybe if I just played a little better or got a little bit more lucky, I could have won it, but whatever. Um, yeah, I already have this list published on my article uh, on TCG Player, which I wrote like about this and an article on how to beat this deck. There's like two schools of thought about it, and it's a pretty good discussion. I highly recommend checking it out if you're struggling into the Enneacraft matchup. But yeah, this list was something I brought to YCS Columbus, and I posted about it. But I have made a couple changes, adjusted some of the ratios, and I think I'm really comfortable with it. I even play this on Master Duel, and I play this exact list, like the main deck wise and the extra deck, just added it to Maxi and just called it a day. So yeah, I really like this deck. It's very interactive. It offers interesting gameplay, and it's a pretty good anti-meta against like the branded and cool tune in certain other matchups. So yeah, one of the things that really appeals to me with this deck is the fact that it has like 18 searchers in this deck. Like if you see one or two of these kind of cards, you will be playing the game and having fun and interacting with your opponent. So yeah, the black one is probably like one of the least favorite ones, but it offers some interesting potential if you get the flip effect off because it lets you summon a card from your hand. So if you can like add a card and then you flip this to like pop a MST, like pop a back row and then summon a card, it's interesting. The blue one is probably also like one of the lower class ones. But going second with this card is pretty strong in my opinion. But going first and setting it up on your field is pretty weak. The green one, I used to think this card was pretty bad, but then when you play against branded, this card's like a really good god card against branded. It's just they fill up their graveyard and they use one of them, and then you just flip this, and they're like you lose like two or three other cards. So yeah. And then there's the red one, which also is pretty high class because it's Man Eater Bug. It beats a lot of certain effects that activate from the hand, and you just Man Eater Bug them. It's pretty strong. And this is probably like my favorite, and like a lot of people's favorites is, or not a lot of people, but a lot of people that play Enneacraft. This is probably their favorite because it's the yellow one. This one, when they add a card, you flip, and then they lose a card. Like it's just hand rips. So if you have like two of these set, you get to like hand rip them twice, and then maybe you can like reflip it face down, and then like hand rip them again. And the less cards they have in their hand, the less pushes they have. So these two like trade really well. And then of course release, puts the card. It's just another name, but also gives you a follow up. So very very strong cards. Uh, and then these are like the cards that you would prioritize searching at the start. Um, 5 copies of the field spell, so 3 resets and 2 field spell. I used to play 2 and 2, thinking that was like okay, but like you actually really want to see this card going first and set up in the graveyard because this card like it might seem like oh it just places the field spell, but it actually the ability to flip your card face down offers you basically another method to search. So you're basically getting like another plus off of it, and it's another method to chain block your cards. So it just is super high value, and you need to have this card in your graveyard like as soon as possible. So yeah, just 5 copies of the field spell, and then 3 reverse. You know what it does? It gives you the RNG to draw into like a lot of good cards, or I mean, it turns like all the information that your opponent thinks that they know into like mystery. So yeah, it's like you searched 4 searchers, now you put like 3 of them back, and now your opponent's like, oh, I only know 1 card in your hand now. I'm like, yep, that's how it works. So yeah, you would normally try to set this card up in the graveyard with the whale because this card, flips your opponent's cards face down. It's probably one of the strongest interruptions and strongest ways to play going second in the deck. Yeah, like, if you see this card going second, you're happy. If you see this card going first, you're happy. So it's like it's pretty good. But most importantly are probably these 2 cards. Pixia, and Tail. I play 3 of each of these. Um, they're just there's a really common card that everyone's playing called Fallen and Virtuous. And you would think that card's really good into this matchup because it pops pendulum scales or your field spell and like, oh, that's really detrimental to the Enneacraft game plan. And they're right, but there's like all these outs to it. There's like so many ways for this deck to outplay a Fallen and Virtuous, especially Pixia. They just like prevents negates the effect. They lose a card in their hand permanently, and they can't even use their incredible Ecclesia to like push more. So like this card's just super strong. The tail burn effect is definitely also really good. Um, like you would this is a burn deck, but it also can be a beatdown deck. If you can flip something like Pixie and Tail and attack, it does a lot of damage. And then the last 3 cards, I put them in like the same category, is the 1 Spider and the 2 Leon. I used to play 3 Leons because I think like this is like one of my favorite cards in the deck because it just bounces 3 cards and it burns your opponent and stuff. But it's not these 2 cards are not that good if your opponent knows that you have them. So you don't normally want to search directly for these, because then your opponent just realizes, oh, I gotta play around these cards. So yeah, you won't. That's why I kind of put them just at like a 2-in-1 ratio. You want to draw them more than you want to search them. So yeah, those are all the Enneacraft monsters, which you'll see like, whoa, this is already like what 18, 20, like over 28 or 30 cards almost at this point. So like, there's not that much room for non-engine, and you're right, there's not. So that's why I opted to include Pot of Desires in this deck, because this card just says draw 2. And in a deck of 3-ofs, you don't necessarily mind banishing any of your cards except for like, all 3 of a name, or like like these 2 specific cards you want to like have in your deck and stuff, or in your graveyard. So, but otherwise, like this Pot of Desires has been very loyal to me, and like it has not screwed me over. And I don't think it'll screw anyone over if you play enough games with it. It's better than Subspace Battle because it just says draw 2. Like Subspace Battle, like sometimes will just like help your opponent more than it helps you because it fills up the graveyard for like setups, or like the cards that you search for you can't even play going second with because you can't activate them. So like, I don't know. There's just a lot of negatives about Subspace Battle, and there's a lot more positive about Pot of Desires in this deck. So yeah, you can draw anything. It keeps the mystery alive in this deck. And then the win con I chose for this deck, in the main deck at least, is the Mega Zaborg, and that's why I kind of want to play Pot of Desires. I was playing like 7 Tachyon, but then that's like a -1, so I rather just have the Pot of Desires, so I can either draw this or draw more Enneacraft names, and set up an Enneacraft board. But yeah, just every time you summon this card, your opponent's like scrambling, And to go along with that, we got 2 Fallen Virtuous, because it's gonna send Albion, and then Albion sets this. But this card also really helps you in certain like situations where like your opponent has Forbidden Crown, or like droplets, or just it's a simple disruption, like solid card. And then after that, we got 3 Fulos. I think you got to play this card because even though this deck is like 50 cards, if you see this card, you're gonna slow down your opponent. So yeah, in worst case scenario, you just set it with your Enneacraft effects, and they don't know what it is, and then you just either tribute with it, or like, or it just another monster they're gonna have to attack into to flip, and you get a counter. So yeah, nothing wrong with that. And then Call by the Grave because we don't like troll. Yeah, and that's the main deck. On to the extra deck, which is all uh, Mega Zaborg stuff. But these are the Fallen Virtuous cards you play. Then there's the Jirac package, which I'm not honestly sure about my ratios, even though I'm just playing like really the standard ratio of 3 Astero, 3 Meteors, and the 1 extra name to banish for the first one. I don't know if I like this ratio or not, but I kind of miss Omega or like Wind Pegasus, like Nister and stuff. But I did lose one time to like a Call by the Grave on Astero, and I guess I wanted to play the maximum package now to try and avoid that scenario. So yeah. Then there's Paleozoic Cambro Raster, yeah, whatever it's called. This card, it's only here to protect your face down banishes from destruction, but it's a hard once per turn. So the first meteor that you summon on your opponent's turn, you can protect your banished face down, or your face downs by banishing it. and it's also just really good into like the Mitsurugi matchup. So you have like additional ways to not lose to just Murakumo board wipe. So that's kind of another reason why I chose to main deck the Zaborg over like Vanities and stuff, because this card, the setups you can have with it, you can adapt to like any matchup. While Vanity's Fiend is like good into only like some matchups, I guess, or like I don't know. There's less, better pros and cons for Zaborg. And then Garura, of course, and this is because I play Pot of Desires, and it's just like a corner case scenario where if you banish an important card, put it back. Wow, very simple. Okay, and then the side deck, which I think I've almost have this solved at this point, but I'm still tweaking it. So 3 Vanities Fiend for mostly like, well, to side out for the Fualoses and to go first with. It's just good into like almost every matchup. Um, but most importantly, it's good into the Mitsurugi matchup. Compared to like cards like Dimensional Fissure or Shifter, like those cards don't really help you in that matchup. So I wanted to just have more covers for the weaknesses of the deck. And then 1 Solemn Accusation. I was playing the Curseal Forbidden Spell before, but I don't know. I wanted the card that beats Forbidden Spells and also good into like Mitsurugi and stuff, but I'm still not very sure about this card because it costs life points, and your normal game plan already gets you down to like 44 or 35. So the 1500 or even 3000 life point cost is just huge. I don't know. I'm only gonna pay 1500 with this mostly. And those are my going first cards. And then we got 2 Perulia, 3 Guardian Slicer, 2 Dusters and a 2 Lightning Storms and a Duster, and then 3 Sphere Mode. So there's nothing to talk about Sphere Mode. Like this card's like in the side deck of like any deck that can play it. This is just good into back row, but I think I might try Cosmic Cyclone at some point to have a better chance into like Power Patron stuff. Um, and then Guardian Slicer. This card just like fits perfectly well with this deck because he doesn't need the extra deck. And there's a lot of Omni Negate monsters in this game right now, so like using this to like just get rid of them is very helpful. There's even times when you're going second where you just play like both of these instead of the Sphere Mode, so that way you can like bounce their board and then tribute summon this, and then like hope it wins you the game. Yeah, I just think like you don't want to play like Dark Ruler no more in this kind of deck because that card doesn't solve the board state by itself. Um, yeah, like evenly matched is definitely kind of viable, but that card just trades with a negate. So yeah, it's hard to say. I think like I'm almost done working on the side deck, but I think this is like the best version I have right now. But yeah, hope everyone enjoyed this list. And hope everyone like reads my TCG player article for a more in-depth talk about it. And yeah, do you have any questions, Santoli?
Nope, looks good. Any shoutouts before you go?
Yeah, shout out to TCG player. Shout out to my friends that believe in me. And shout out to you, I guess. Yes, Santoli. You.
Yeah, so shout out to
Yeah,
me. Okay, thanks for listening again, and congrats on the top.
yeah, yeah.